What is the most memorable NSFW thing that happened in high school? Senior prank gone wrong. Every once in a while the school Olympic-sized pool needed to be chlorine killed for cleanliness, and it was unusable for a few hours until the chlorine adequately dispersed. This is important. Senior prank time rolls around and a bunch of the seniors decide to buy pickup truckloads of dry ice to dump in the pool to mist up the school. Well, these geniuses accidentally timed it with chlorination schedule of the pool and blanketed the whole school with chlorine gas. It was shut down for a week. Literally NSFW. This is by far the funniest one here. My math teacher told us if we all got A's and B's on our test, he'd dye his hair green and rollerblade down the hallway. We all passed, and sure enough, he showed up to school with green hair the following week. During class transitions he was out rollerblading down the hall, when he thought it would be funny to mess with the jokester student. So he grabbed him and tried to push him in the girls' bathroom as a joke, and another student trying to help run up behind them and shut the door. The tip of my teacher's pinky finger was near the hinges, and it was sliced off. Blood was everywhere and the tip of his finger was just lying there in the floor. To make matters worse, they sent the severed finger to the wrong hospital. But he had good spirits when he came back, even naming the finger Quasimodo. Wait, whose finger got cut? The students or the teachers? English teacher got pregnant by my high school quarterback, who was also the police chief's son for my town. I've never seen Riverdale, but I imagine this is what happens on Riverdale, but with Cole Sprouse being moody in the background. Well, they did have a high school jock hook up with a teacher and she was murdered. So yeah, basically Riverdale. We were reciting our own poetry for our 11th grade English class. Most of it was just fluffy bullsh. However, a jock in class got up and began reciting his poem. It started off slow, but it became clearer and clearer that he was talking about how he would go back in time and deflower our English teacher. He kept glancing back and forth between the teacher and the paper in his hands, ignoring the class entirely. Every face in the room was bright red. The teacher was a deep red and was crying with uncomfortable laughter. I will never forget the final line. Something like, "Until I flood your eager, quivering crevices with my genetic riches." The dude was not that bright, so I am pretty sure the only thing he spent the night with was a thesaurus. Referring to sperm as genetic riches is actually genius. With no warning at all, a girl in my class threw up a stomach full of blood all over her desk and books. The teacher went pale and stared at her. She just softly said sorry. The teacher just pointed to the door and just said go to the nurse. Then pointed to the girl next to her and said you go with her. I don't remember what was wrong with her, but she ended up missing about 2 months of school after that. She recovered and is fine now. I love that throwing up blood gets the same reaction as a nosebleed. A girl was doing a cartwheel while in a skirt and her pussy was in full view. No panties? Maybe it was casual Fridays. Some guy was caught masturbating in the girl's bathroom. Imagine our surprise when another was caught soon after. After that, they had a teacher stand outside the bathroom during lunch and had it locked during class so they'd need to go the staff room instead. Felt bad for the girls. The school. Your attention please. We have caught the person masturbating in the girls' restroom. That one person who only half listens in class is, please, masturbate in the girls' restroom. Oh what? Okay, if you say so. This is a different kind of NSFW. Probably, but once a freshman shat all over a bathroom stall and wrote some other kid's name on the wall to try and frame him, I guess. Well, that kid wasn't even present that day, so the culprit was caught pretty quickly and had to transfer out. The dean had sat all the boys in the school, freshmen and sophomores together and then juniors and seniors together, in our conference room and showed them the stall to try and scare a confession out of them. I guess it worked. I only know this because my husband, BF at the time, was in the conference room and almost got in trouble for this mess because he thought it was hilarious and couldn't stop laughing at the dean's poop presentation. He still, to this day, doesn't know what the poor man expected. To just show a bunch of teenage boys a poopy slitter shell? The dean wasn't up for the smell my finger test. Pretty open and shut case if you ask me. During psychology class, this girl had her phone between her skirt and I guess every time she got a text or something, it would vibrate and she would kinda squirm. It was interesting to watch since I was across from her. How many times did you text her? Senior year. Biology IB2. The teacher is kinda chaotic and isn't very structured. Late a lot. It's his first class of the day. Sorta lets us do our work at our pace. So he was late one morning and we were all just sitting and chatting waiting for him. We got in the topic of piercings and one girl said she recently got one of her nipples pierced. We were confused why she only did one and then she showed us. In class. At her desk she just lifted her shirt and bra to show us her single pierced nipple. It took me a second to realize what just happened. Then me and my buddy high-fived or something IDK. The only proper response to a girl saying I have a pierced nipple is I don't believe you. Most girls that tell you they have their nipples pierced are doing so with the intent of showing it off. 2 sophomores got suspended for recording themselves having sex in the distance learning classroom. Some online classes required video cameras for lectures. They used that and recorded a X tape. Distance learning sounds like a regular class but the board is really far away. The social studies teacher's boobs fell out of her dress on stage in front of the whole school. How big were they? Did she have to resign after that? A girl got caught sucking dick in the theater room. Twice. You didn't learn your lesson the first time, did you? How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Female volleyball coach of men's volleyball. She let us have an end of season party at her place. One of the guys on the team spent the night there and banged her. Guarantee that was her plan to get you guys there all along. You joke, but it probably was. A few come to mind. 1. Lots of the sporty couples often hooked up in the wrestling rooms after school practice. There was a sorta unwritten rule to leave one of the room's doors the exited outside propped open slightly so that couples could sneak in. Happened all 4 years and honestly most likely still happens. 2. The theater. So many kids hooked up in the theater. Like, holy shit. The most memorable one for that would be a couple was going at it in the catwalks while a play was happening. 3. I was a peer S3 ex-ed student. The idea being that if students taught students about ex-education they would be more receptive of it. Fun times and stories for another day. But one of my responsibilities was talking with or helping students with questions. The most memorable one was a young freshman, shy, stopped me in the hallway and asked me to help her with a problem. She had been exploring her body with an object and managed to get it stuck. I asked her what the object was. It was an iPod Nano. At that point I was out of my depth and went to go ask another female member to help her out. As someone who played sports in high school I should have done theater or band. 2 kids got caught in the wrestling room. They were totally wrestling. Naked. A girl, 13-15, sent a Snapchat out to several people of her naked with only images covering her. We were on a class trip and they locked us all in our rooms until the staff and police sorted it out. Edit. So to add a bit more to the story and clear a few things up, the cops determined it wasn't CP so she did not get arrested for producing and distribute CP. I can't remember what happened after that to her, however I believe the teachers either called her parents up and they got her or they gave her a good talking to. Got all the documentation in order and let her enjoy the rest of the trip. I do think it was a good call on them in case there was a way someone got the images off the pic and it got out. Edit 2. I was 18 at the time so this could have ended bad for me. Edit 3. Great, my highest upvoted comment is on this shitty. Find an arc. 1 male and 1 female teacher. They weren't married to each other. Yeah, 2 employees were caught doing that in the company gym where I used to work. For some reason. And the joke going around was we should go to the gym and pump steel. I witnessed some shenanigans there. One time, we were all sitting around a bonfire, and a girl in the group decided to put on a show with a cigarette. She masturbated with a cigarette in front of everyone. She then took it one step further. She used an empty whiskey bottle to masturbate in front of us. None of us knew what to say or do in response to that, so we just let her do her thing. I think we all just felt bad for her. That was the part that was most memorable for me. I'm trying to imagine masturbation with a cigarette and it just ain't adding up. A small group of students at my high school was convinced aliens were observing us because a certain cornfield near the football field would have crop circles every year. It was flattened out patches from where kids would sneak off to have sex during football games. As a kid raised on a farm, why would you go fuck into the cornfield? Corn leaves are quite sharp and can cut you easily, not to mention spiders and other bugs that live there. Computer teacher opened whitehouse.com on the projector during a follow-along class. This was in the late 90s when that site was PRN based. I mean the regular White House was pretty page 0 RN based in the 90s too. A freshman kid at our high school has been collecting pictures of naked a-holes from students. So far he has 37. He got them from other people or getting them himself. The only reason I found out was because the dude was sitting at a table I was at and had placed his phone flat on the table. He then proceeded to open up his private pictures and snap. What the fuck is with collecting a-hole pictures? This isn't the first time I've heard of this hobby. Hot classmate of mine jumped on my back the first day of theater practice. Saying you're mine now eventually led to her giving me head between scenes on multiple occasions. Oh theater kids. No matter where you go they never really change. Guy on the football team would bust into the locker room and demonstrate that he could tie his flaccid pee-pee into a knot. He went on to play in the NFL. What was his name? We were on a field trip to an amusement park for marching band. A bus from an all-boys Catholic middle school pulled up beside ours. My friend dared me to flash my boobs and I wasn't one to back down from a dare, so I waited until most of the boys were looking away. Only one nerdy little boy was looking in our direction, so I did it. His mouth dropped wide open with surprise as he quickly motioned for the other boys to come have a look. They moved so quickly from one side of the bus to the other that I actually thought it might tip over. Seriously, the whole bus rocked to one side, but they were too late. TLDR. Flashed a nerdy middle schooler and almost tipped over a school bus. God was on his side that day. During a school dance, the one girl with notoriously large breasts, like unreasonably so, was dancing to Cotton Eye Joe and her shirt finally gave up and her enormous breasts popped out. I was one of the many guys that witnessed it. It was glorious. It's all thanks to Cotton Eye Joe. I saw TTS a long time ago. They were so big with no room to grow. Thank God for that shirt and Cotton Eye Joe. A girl got so drunk at homecoming that she pooped her pants and had to be sent home. At homecoming had to be sent home. So drunk she didn't know if she was coming or going. 2002. Teacher was unzipped and giving a lecture. Valedictorian had to tell him that his balls were showing. Bumblebee tuna. My senior year, a girl accused a male teacher of trying to coerce her into giving him nude pictures. According to her story, he had held her behind class and told her if she didn't he was going to fail her and that she wouldn't graduate on time. The teacher was fired instantly, but it was never taken to criminal or civil court. The vast majority of my graduating class did not believe the girl because she was known for spreading false rumors. Her story gradually changed the more people asked her about it, and the teacher was actually well liked by the majority of the students. Girl literally got fucked through a locker room wall when she tried to take on the whole hockey team at once. And I'm not talking glory hole style, it was more like Kool-Aid Man. The in-school suspension supervisor got fired and may be arrested for having sex with one of the students. She was 15. Who hires a 15-year-old as a supervisor? One of my classmates gave my other classmate blowjob while teacher was in the class. We were in an all-boys school BTW. I went to the wrong school. A freshman gave a blowjob to a senior behind the buses, never even realizing that while they were out of view from the first floor, that entire side of the school could see them from the second floor. The guy got in some legal trouble because he was 18. And that day was literally the last time anyone at our school saw that girl. We assume she transferred or moved or something. I like to think she just found a more secluded spot. A sophomore shot himself and his mom ran into the high school screaming after finding him. Trying to find her daughter to break the news, the school resource officer stopped her in the foyer, but we could see everything from the cafeteria. She was covered in blood. Fucking brutal. Imagine the mother in total shock, covered in blood.